And now we have a situation where the guardrails are gone and you're given the right answer by the responsible, intelligent people that are keeping their head and studying this virus. They know it's dangerous. And they're doing clinical trials. They're going into rooms with people with COVID-19 when there's no treatment. Those are the people that are really fucking ballsy. Those are the people that are really dealing with adversity. Can you imagine being a doctor at an ER during the COVID pandemic last summer or this fall? And there's no treatments and you don't have the vaccine? And you have to go in and help these people and they're dying and they're spreading this fucking disease? That is more dangerous and ballsy than anything you've ever done, Joe.
Let's maul in the Central Committee. Let's cringe in the Central Committee. Let's bog in the Central Committee right now.
This is the story. This is the story that is too dumb. Too dumb to be real. But oh, it's real. It's fucking real. Jimmy Dore went on Joe Rogan and was the dumbest motherfucker I've ever seen. Oh, God, Jimmy Dore. Has he ever been... Jimmy Dore's existence makes you doubt your own beliefs. Because if he agrees with you on even one thing, you feel like you are completely off base.
The Joe Rogan experience.
So what about, can we talk about ivermectin?
Yeah, sure.
So I covered it, what they did in Mexico City, and ivermectin seems to be a drug that not only treats it, but it will prevent you from getting it.
I think we need studies. We need legitimate studies, and I don't know how that happens, because the problem with this argument, this conversation is, you know, you'll have people saying, I've used this on my patients, like Dr. Pierre Corey, who's been on this podcast, and I 100% believe him, and I support him, and I'm not saying that he's not telling the truth. The problem is, I think in order to state something emphatically, like this is what we need to do, this is the best treatment, we need studies. Right? This is the only way you find out. And, well, who's going to fund these studies?
Who's going to fund a study?
And the problem is it's a generic drug.
That's it. No one wants it.
It's a drug that's been around for 40 years, has a long history of use. And also, there's a difference between using it as a prophylactic, so using it as a preventative measure, which is one of the things that Dr. Pierre Corey talked about on this podcast. I forget where they used this, but it was there was hundreds of doctors, and then there was a percentage of them that used ivermectin as a prophylactic, and there's a percentage that did not. The percentage that did not, half of the doctors roughly, or half of the healthcare workers got COVID. The percentage that did use it as a prophylactic, 100% did not get it. Now, I don't know if they got lucky. This is
okay. First of all, I don't believe Joe Rogan. I don't believe Joe Rogan. I don't think he has the evidence correct. I think he's just spouting off bullshit. I think he's a fucking idiot. That's not how it works anyway. And the problem with these discussions is he's having it with Jimmy fucking Dore. He's having it with Jimmy Dore.
Why you need a large study, and it's a long-term
Mike
study.
peeked on that one.
Maybe,
Sorry.
I don't know what was their job different than the people who got it. I don't know. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So when I'm a fucking comedian and a cage fighting commentator. When I'm talking about very important issues, I have to hedge my opinions on these things.
I know.
It's tricky.
But in an environment where people aren't allowed to talk or question things, you know, well, for instance, my doctor. So
everyone is entitled to question things, you fucking dipshit. But you're not allowed to. I mean, you are allowed because you're doing it right now on the largest podcast in the world. Jesus Christ, save us! We're gonna die. You're not allowed to assert that you have medical expertise or knowledge that you don't have, Jimmy. This is killing millions of people, you dipshit.
When I got the vaccine, I got the double. And
there you go, chat. He got the vaccine. He got the vaccine. Now he's going to go out there and shit on the vaccine. But here we go. Also, I can't wait to hear his soft fucking response. I can't wait to hear how his body was ravaged by side effects. This little weasel. Oh, I can't wait.
Which one did you get?
I got the Moderna because I have an underlying health problem. I don't want, and I've talked about it before on the show.
We have talked about it, yeah.
And so my doctor, because people are like, why did you trust the government? No, I don't trust the government. You trust Big Pharma? No, I don't trust Big Pharma. I trusted my doctor.
Right.
My doctor who saved my life and said that because of your thing, you should get it because we don't know how it's going to affect you and you blah, 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 blah. So I got it. And then, I just, the symptoms you get from it, they never went away for me.
What were your symptoms?
So I had body aches, flu-like fever. I had a joint pain. I had a stiff neck.
Have you tried going in an ice bath for 20 minutes? Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how long did it?
I'm still cold. I'm
just warming up now. It's fucking 2 hours into this podcast.
I can tell.
Is how long did it last? How long did your symptoms last?
So on April 17th, I got the second jab, and I just never got better.
Was it immediate? Before
your head is moving right now. Your head is moving right now. What are you talking about? You don't have a stiff neck. I've seen people with stiff necks. They're not like, oh, it never got better. They're like,
After the first jab, did you have side effects?
Yes, but they went away. And then the second jab.
How long did they last after the first shot?
I don't remember, but because
a couple days.
Yeah, it was like maybe a week. I think a week.
A week? All right, chat. Now I'm going to testify my personal experience. I got the Pfizer vaccine, Pfizer gang in. I got the injection. I got 0 symptoms for the first shot. None. Hell, I barely even knew that they injected me with it. It was so not much of a big deal. The second vaccine I got a little sleepy. I slept for, I think, 11 hours that night. Next day, I popped up. It was like any other day. My arm was also slightly sore for a literal day. Well, it couldn't stop me from streaming, didn't stop me from doing my day-to-day activities, walking Romeo, etc. I was fine.
And then the second time, they just never went away, and I was like, what is going on? Because I would get these waves of exhaustion.
So did they go away, or are you still, like what? He's mixing these, he can't even speak the English language correctly. He's using past tense and saying it never went away. Which is it? Past tense or it never went away? I milked the symptoms to get babied for a day by my husband. It was great. Oh, God damn it. You're using the male move. Lots of slurs. Okay, does it play the slurs or are the slurs bleeped at least?
A couple times a day. And then my producer had the same at the 5th week. I had a stiff neck. He got a stiff neck. My wife.
This is my favorite Jimmy prediction. Starts at 3 minutes and go to 6. Okay, we'll do this because it's funny.
What Hillary Clinton clearly is.
Yeah.
But this is where we might part ways a little bit. I think Trump does have a decent chance of beating Hillary Clinton.
Well,
because people hate the establishment.
Yes, but wait.
They hate it. So we get it. We're smart enough to know Benghazi's nonsense. We're smart enough to know they're attacking her unfairly. But I don't know that everybody's in that camp. They're going to see establishment and they're going to see a alpha male. And they might pull the trigger for alpha male.
4 years of nonstop race baiting, attacking, obstructionism of Barack Obama, right? And he still beat the shit out of Mitt Romney. Still beat the shit out of every Republican.
And there's
they
a
can throw against
demographic
him.
issue, too.
And that's
I know.
because of the Hispanics. He's worse than Mitt Romney on the Hispanics, Donald Trump.
No, they love him. That's what he says. That's what he tells me.
So that's why it's...
Well, guess what, chat? Trump was right because in 2020, he made the single best performance with Hispanic voters in American history for a Republican, I believe, or going in the modern era at least. So, whoops. Looks like Trump was right on that one. But this was 2016. I don't think Trump actually didn't do very well with Hispanics in 2016. So they were right at the time. But now, Hispanics are going towards the GOP.
Lovely over people. For him, I think, because they say the Hispanics, even the Republican Hispanics. And by the way, the Republican Hispanics held a news rally. Wasn't it yesterday, Johnny?
Yeah.
We discovered this. They held a news rally threatening the Republicans that if you don't stop this coming after Mexicans and demonizing us, we're not going to be there for you on Election Day. These are the Republican Mexicans, right? So
And
even the Republican Mexicans aren't going to vote for a Republican.
And to Jimmy's point, one of the things that the Republicans knew going into this next presidential cycle, they knew they'd have to produce what at the polls? Support from the Latinos.
Yes.
They knew they didn't have it. This guy, Trump, is not that guy. So, I mean, if that's your plan, it's bizarre.
Especially if it's Trump or Rubio.
So that's why Rubio is going to be the guy.
Okay. You guys have talked.
That's an MSNBC take. That was straight out of MSNBC. Okay, so if you weren't around in 2015 in politics, I understand. But I can tell you back then, you know what I was saying, chat? I think Trump's going to win. If somebody wants to go through see, you'd have to be a member to see to get the links for all of the Majority Report shows. But if you go back to 2015 and you search through 2015, you'll hear me calling it a Majority Report. And I say, I think Trump can win this thing. mRNA vaccines prep the immune system in the first dose, and your immune system is flared up in the second. Both contain similar, if not identical, doses. It's the prepped immune system responding. It's normal to get sick. You're supposed to get sick. It means the immune system is working. Match the alternative of getting COVID or long COVID. It's much, 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 much worse. I don't understand these people. Yes, they're stupid.
Me into increasing the Trump's chances of winning. Okay.
Man, Jank is fucking amazing. Jank is awesome, dude. Like, not complete. Listen, I have my problems with Jank, but this is the most baller move right here.
Guy.
Okay. You guys have talked me into increasing the Trump's chances of winning. Okay. We keep underestimating
10-1. I'll
him.
give you 10-1 on Trump right now.
Oh my
I will
God.
take it.
That-
Finally.
yeah.
He's been saying this all show long for 3 hours.
I'll give you $100. I win $1,000 to you.
Really, you're going to give me $1,000?
Yes.
Nomination or general election? He wins.
General election. What are we
General
talking
election.
about?
Okay. Okay.
Did Jimmy ever pay up? I'm
going to be a man of my word, and I'm going to make that bet.
I'm not
and I'll
making
tell
that
you
bet.
why.
Okay.
Because before you offered that bet, I thought to myself, that's it. I'm moving him up to 12.5% chance of winning. The whole thing. I had him at 0 for the nomination. I had him at 1% for the nomination. I had him at 5% for the nomination. Tonight, I'm moving him up to 12.5%, not for the nomination, but for the general election. Okay, Republicans love alpha males. So that kind of braggadocio, clear bully that you hate, John, lack of intellect, lack of any substance, they love. His chance of winning the nomination is now pretty good at about 25%. Once you get into a general election, yes, the odds are with the Democrats because of demographics, etc. But people hate the establishment and they don't trust Hillary Clinton. When this guy comes out and puffs his chest out, you got to remember something. Ronald Reagan won 2 terms. He was just an actor.
That's true.
It
And
was all marketing.
He was
And
vapid. That's exactly right.
And what's Donald Trump? All marketing, okay? So 12.5% chance. And if I think it's 12.5% chance and you gave me 1 to 10, that means I should take the bet, right?
Yes.
And that's why I took it.
Wait,
That's the best
quick
analysis
question.
I've heard as to why we might have a chance.
One quick question. Do you think it could matter? Right now, we're talking about debates. We're going to have a lot more Republican debates. But at least for the time being, you're going to have 10 or 9 or 8 people. So he gets to just hide and occasionally pop out and insult someone and say something arrogant or whatever. But at some point, when you win the nomination, you stand on a stage against one other person, and you have to talk for half of.
Oh God, it's so quaint to go back and watch this shit because, like, nerds, and I am part of that group, think that going up there and knowing shit is going to cause the majority of people to like you. It appeals to other nerds, but most people are like, I didn't study this. I don't know what sounds good to me. All right, let's go back to Jimmy Dore.
I've got a stiff neck, and we all got the stiff neck on the side where we got the shot. So I got it on this side, they got it on that side. And then I looked it up, and it turns out stiff neck is a thing that people experience from the jab. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. They don't tell you that. And so that's common.
Go back to watch when Jimmy was right about Syria. When he said that Hillary Clinton was going to nuke Syria. Hey, Joe Biden's been president. We haven't nuked Syria yet. So I guess that was just for Hillary.
To the whole neck. Okay. Now, my producer and my wife, it went away. Their stiff necks went away. Mine didn't. So anyway, I tweeted about it. I tweeted like, hey, this is just to let everybody know this is what's happened. This is my reaction to the vaccine.
Yeah.
And because when people started to come on me, like call me anti-vax, and I'm like, no, I got the vax. Right. I got it. I go, when people have a reaction to an experimental vaccine that is not FDA approved.
The vaccine has emergency authorization from the FDA because there are procedures for efficacy and safety, and they have to have a certain longitudinal study, which means a period of time. And we don't know about it is true, we haven't done the longitudinal studies because there hasn't been enough time since the vaccines have been invented to do such a study. But there is no evidence whatsoever of any long-term effects, and the costs of the continued pandemic outweigh the possible side effects that may arise later, according to all available evidence. So they're still doing the longitudinal studies, they're still doing the long-term approval, and they're not cutting any corners on it. But there was an emergency authorization. The evidence is clear that it's safe. There's been literally billions of shots given at this point. Billions. And he's out here peddling the, we're not sure bullshit.
You're supposed to not suppress the reactions. You're supposed to ask people what the reactions are so we can make the vaccines better.
That's a thing that when Jen Psaki's talking about misinformation online and combating misinformation.
Do you think anti-vaxxers will change their tune once the vaccine is FDA approved? No. Then the corporations pressured the government, and they're all in the pockets of big pharma. And that's not to say that's not a good critique on a lot of things. But scientifically, these vaccines are being studied by the world. This is not, it's impossible to do this.
Misinformation.
Of course.
Because she said that it's approved by the FDA and their gold standard.
She said that?
She said that.
It is not approved. When you go to get the vaccine...
Pull that up. Let's make sure that she said that. I'm 99% positive she said that, because I remember reading that going, you can't say that when you're the White House press secretary, because that's not a true statement. It's approved for emergency use authorization because we're in the middle of a pandemic.
Right.
Okay, so this is what it is. It's got an FDA emergency use authorization. All right? Current as of this week. This is from FDA.gov. Emergency Use Authorization Authority allows the FDA to help strengthen the nation's public health protections against chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear threats, including infectious diseases, by facilitating the availability and use of medical countermeasures needed during public health emergencies. FDA may authorize unapproved medical products or unapproved uses of approved medical products to be used in an emergency to diagnose, treat, or prevent serious or life-threatening diseases or conditions caused by CBRN threat agents when certain criteria are met, including there are no adequate, approved, and available alternatives. On February 4th, 2020, the HHS secretary determined that there is a public health emergency and that a significant potential to affect national security or the health and security of the United States citizens living abroad, and that includes the virus that causes COVID-19. Subsequent HHS declarations, use of EUAs, and based on this determination are described in the blue boxes below. Okay? The HHS secretary declared that circumstances exist justifying the authorization of emergency use of drugs and biological products during the COVID-19 pandemic pursuant to Section 524 of the FD&C Act. The EUAs subsequently issued by the FDA are listed at the table below in this blue box. All right? Okay. Emergency Use Authorization Declaration. I'm going to find the actual fucking vaccine approval shit, if I can find this. All right. The path for a COVID-19 vaccine from research to emergency use is very easy to find. Okay, so here he goes. A vaccine manufacturer conducts laboratory research to develop a vaccine candidate. Manufacturer compiles the results of laboratory research and testing in animals and information about manufacturing technology and the quality of the vaccine, and must submit an investigational new drug application to the FDA before beginning human clinical trials. Such a clinical trial in humans is not permitted to proceed without the prior written authorizations from the FDA. Clinical trials are conducted to generate data on safety and effectiveness of vaccine. A data safety monitoring board evaluates data from the phase 3 clinical trial and advises the vaccine manufacturer regarding whether criteria for the pre-specified clinical endpoint, as discussed and agreed in advance with the FDA, has been met for their COVID-19 vaccine. Then the company reviews data to determine whether the company's scientists and technical experts believe that the vaccine meets the FDA's outlined expectations for safety and effectiveness. Taking into consideration input from the FDA, a company decides whether to submit a request for emergency use authorization to FDA. Once submitted, career scientists and physicians in the FDA's Center for Biologics Evaluation and Research will evaluate an EUA request, taking into account the totality of scientific evidence about the vaccine that is available to the FDA. Then the FDA convenes a public meeting of its Vaccines and Related Biological Products Advisory Committee to discuss the data from the clinical trials. Following the advisory committee meeting, the SBER career professional staff will consider the input of the advisory committee members and continue their evaluation to determine whether the available safety, effectiveness, and manufacturing data support authorization for use of the particular COVID-19 vaccine in the U.S. If the FDA determines that the criteria for an EUA are met, including the known and potential benefits outweigh the known and potential risks of the vaccine, and that the manufacturing information is adequate to ensure the quality and consistency, FDA may authorize the vaccine for emergency use. And then the FDA informs the company that its EUA has been authorized. So does this sound like they're just doing whatever, guys? We're just approving what? Does that sound like how it's working? Sounds to me like they're doing everything they can to develop these vaccines as quickly as possible using all available medical evidence. These dumb motherfuckers, man. Here's the PDF. If you want to know the process, here's the process, okay? So there were multiple clinical trials. They looked at all the available evidence. It's not like it's the FDA just went, well, you say you have a COVID vaccine, approved. That's not how it works.
We're in an emergency.
Yes, but it's not an FDA approved.
Joe, when you go get the jab, they give you a piece of paper.
Yes, it is. It's FDA approved for emergency use authorization, studying all available medical evidence about safety and efficacy. And they've made a calculation based on the known and risk, the known costs and benefits and the risks of the vaccine. And each one is considered with their own suite of evidence. This is bullshit. It is FDA approved.
Paper, and on it in bold black letters, it says, this is not an FDA approved vaccine.
Terra Incognita. Thank you for the
see
tier
that?
1.
And I'm like, yeah. They go, you okay with that? Yeah, I guess. My doctor said I'm supposed to be here. And
Did you
so
find it?
Yeah, I found the transcript of it. I didn't find the video.
Well,
okay.
Not only that, these vaccines did come out of nowhere. They either built on existing mRNA research or they use methods used by other vaccines like attenuated adenovirus or weakened versions of the virus, etc. Of course, it's building on prior research. Of course.
See, I'm pretty sure I saw the video, but I definitely have read the transcript, and I want this to be accurate because it's a big accusation.
This is what she said here when someone asked about the misinformation.
What is this from? Whitehouse.gov.
Yeah.
Okay. So you know more than just a competition about vaccines.
Okay. What's the difference between FDA emergency use authorization and FDA approval? The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has released the first 3 COVID-19 vaccines for emergency use, and others are expected to follow. Some consumers may have questions about what emergency use authorization means and how it differs from normal vaccine approval. In a public health emergency, manufacturing and approval of vaccines can be streamlined through an emergency use authorization, or EUA. An EUA does not affect vaccine safety because it does not impact development, such as research, clinical studies, and the studying of side effects and adverse reactions. Instead, it speeds up manufacturing and administrative processes. Vaccine makers develop a vaccine to be tested. FDA emergency use authorization, testing and production happen at the same time, followed by approval and then distribution. So there's testing. Clinical trials are conducted in 3 phases. Small number of generally healthy people to assess safety and effectiveness. Hundreds of people with different health conditions and diverse demographic groups. And 3, thousands of people across demographic groups and immune responses are compared against placebos. Production, large amounts of... So what happens is, while they're studying, they're producing the vaccine. And normally, in large quantities, companies don't do that. Vaccine maker applies for emergency use authorization. Distribution. The vaccine is sent out in the communities to be used. Approval. Vaccine maker applies for the biologics license application. If the FDA determines that the vaccine is safe and works, it will grant a license for the vaccine. Production. Large amounts of the vaccine are made. Distribution. So the only main difference is production happens at the same time. And the type of license that's being applied for. Now they're doing this part. They're going back to get the biologics license application, but it's not streamlined. Because guess what? It's a fucking emergency. But they still do the testing. All vaccines follow the same testing procedures, whether they are approved for emergency use or through a typical license. Once phase 3 trials are complete, the FDA reviews the data to determine whether the vaccine works and is safe. If so, the manufacturer files for approval. This is where the process may change due to the public health emergency, such as the COVID-19 pandemic. Usually, the manufacturer would apply for a biologics license application. If the FDA determines that the vaccine is safe, works, and that manufacturing can be done safely and consistently, it will grant a license for the vaccine. In a public health emergency, manufacturing may occur while vaccines are still in development rather than after approval. These efforts happen simultaneously, and instead of filing for a BLA, the manufacturer files for emergency use authorization. If the benefits outweigh any possible risks of the vaccine and manufacturing quality can be assured, the FDA will approve the vaccine for emergency use. There is no safety. I mean, this is just so fucking stupid, man.
The risk impact. Okay, here it is. Misleads the public by falsely alleging that mRNA vaccines are untested and thus risky, even though many of them are approved and have gone through the gold standard of the FDA approval process. That's right. That's not true.
That's what they did. She didn't lie. That's true. They went through the emergency authorization process because there's an emergency, so they could be manufactured at the same time they were being tested. Normally, they don't let them do that. This is so Googleable. How does this show have hundreds of millions of dollars and the inability to do basic research? I did it. I did it right now with 1,600 people and me, no producer. We did a better job. I don't give a fuck about your personal beliefs when it comes to vaccine. You sure killing people with your stupidity. Oh,
so God. She's saying many of the mRNA vaccines... Right,
there's only 2 that are mRNA vaccines. That's messenger RNA. That is the Pfizer and the Moderna. That's the ones that we use in America. The Johnson & Johnson is it's an adenovirus vaccine. It's different, as is the AstraZeneca, right? The AstraZeneca, I believe, is very similar to the Johnson & Johnson. They're different. But the point is...
Yeah, the Johnson & Johnson uses the old technology, and Moderna and Pfizer, they use the ones that were developed by DARPA.
Yeah, but the point is, it's like, it's not FDA approved.
No, because that takes a while.
So if she's saying that, right, this is...
Isn't that misinformation?
It is.
Seems like it.
And if it says it when you get the jab, and it says it in bold print, and so your experience, even though this is your personal experience and you did get vaccinated, people are so rabid online about this.
Oh, my God.
It is the most divisive subject, I think, ever since Trump. It really is. It is a nutty
I wonder why that is. We're not talking about whether or not you can smoke weed. We're talking about something that is killing millions of people worldwide and is not under control. Just to remind you again, COVID is not under control. It is fucking July of 2021. We had the vaccine for months, and it's still out of control in the United States.
Divisive subject. And people just get furious about it. And they're furious if anybody talks about any negative side effects, even if it's accurate.
I know. So I tweeted about it just because I wanted to see if other people had this experience.
Right.
And, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's not. So I got contacted by lots of people.
Can I just say that he is the biggest cry bully that's ever lived? Is Jimmy Dore the biggest cry bully that has ever lived in his entire life?
And I got contacted by a doctor who's leading a bunch of other doctors, a group of doctors, and studying this. And they just submitted a paper on people about me over a DM. This is what we think is happening. This is a spike protein. You're suffering from a spike protein thing and blah, blah, blah. And go to see your doctor, and hopefully your doctor will work with us. The ivermectin and fluvoxamine I'm taking for inflammation in my brain.
Can't bob it, though. That's what's
Inflammation
your
in
bits.
your brain.
Well, that's because it causes inflammation. So the spike proteins cause inflammation. And so they did some kind of blood test on me, and they said, yeah, you got the thing.
Was it a D-dimer test? Is that what it was?
Joe, you got me. But
Okay.
they said, you have the same, you're right where a long haul COVID person is. Like whatever the markers were, I had the same thing. You're right there. And so I go to my doctor, and I start to explain to my doctor about what this other doctor told me. And my doctor says, oh, I'm treating 5 people just like you. And one of them is a neurosurgeon, and one of them is a nurse. And they were afraid to talk about their symptoms because they were afraid to be ostracized and stigmatized. And I'm like, what a messed up situation we're in this culture.
Right.
When they politicize medicine, where doctors and medical professionals are afraid to talk about their symptoms. That's horrible.
You know what I love about this chat is that it's completely unverifiable babble, and it's I had a conversation with a guy who's not in the room, and we just have to believe his woo bullshit. That's it. He's out of his realm of expertise. We have to just believe his bullshit, and there's no way for us to verify any of it. He brings nothing to the table, and he's got no credibility. Maybe if they had a professional doctor on, they could explain all these things, but they're too stupid and they're being paid to mislead. I mean, this is just...
Also putting people in a position where big pharma is...
By the way, they were just lying. They said that the vaccines were not FDA approved. The vaccines are FDA approved for emergency use authorization, which goes through the same clinical trials, according to what I just read on the FDA page. They go through the same tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, or phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3. I have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. I got subs on the brain. Anyway, the vaccines go through the same phase trials. The only difference between emergency use authorization and the typical license is that you're allowed to manufacture at the same time while you're pursuing the emergency use authorization. That has to be approved by the government. And they still study and they still examine all available scientific data. They're just wrong about this.
Good guy now.
Yeah.
Which has never happened before.
Never.
And especially the exact same companies that people were openly criticizing in the past and pointing out lawsuits that they've lost.
We need tier 3 vaccines.
For hiding information.
Tier 3 subs get my tier 3 vaccine, chat.
About test results, about things that have happened during studies. And these same people are now ignoring any possible side effects.
It's nuts. So, I mean, how do we make it better? How do we know maybe some people, that suppression of data is not the way you improve a vaccine. The suppression of people's symptoms and data, that is not, and in anything, it's not how it works. No. But that's how they want it to work because of Trump. Because if you say, it's just crazy.
It is crazy.
Even that hydrochloroquine, right?
Hydroxychloroquine.
Hydroxychloroquine that Trump was touting, and they were like, he's nuts because he's touting it. I didn't know anything about it. But then all of a sudden studies came out that say, hey, no, that actually has been helping. So now we have contradicting studies, right? Not true. Just made up.
Just made up. No, that's not true. There was so I am not. Listen, I took biology classes in college, and that was, years ago. Okay, it was a long time ago. But there's a difference between an in vitro result and an in vivo result. Okay, in vitro refers to like the petri dish, and in vivo means within the body. Hydroxychloroquine, not hydrochloroquine, hydroxychloroquine, has no clinical results in human bodies. Here's what the FDA says. FDA cautions against the use of hydroxychloroquine or chloroquine for COVID-19 outside of a hospital setting or clinical trial due to the risk of heart rhythm problems. June 15th, 2020, this was a year ago. Based on ongoing analysis and emerging scientific data, FDA has revoked the emergency use authorization to use hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine to treat COVID-19 in certain hospitalized patients when a clinical trial was unavailable or participation is not feasible. We made this determination based on recent results from a large randomized clinical trial in hospitalized patients that found these medicines showed no benefit for decreasing the likelihood of death or speeding recovery. This outcome is consistent with other new data, including those showing the suggested dosing for those vaccines are unlikely to kill or inhibit the virus that causes COVID-19. As a result, we determined that the legal criteria for the EUA are no longer met. Please refer to the revocation of the EUA letter and FAQs on the revocation of the EUA for hydroxychloroquine, sulfate, and chloroquine phosphate for more information. This is a year old. This is a year old. This is $100+ million. What is this? Hundreds of millions of dollars spent on this show. They can't Google? My husband takes it for psoriatic arthritis. He had to be monitored for weeks for heart damage when he started it. Oh my God. These idiots fucking should be jailed for this bullshit. People are dying because of misinformation. I mean, like, I don't know what to say. It's right here. It's not like the FDA is hiding. They show you how it works. The information is right there.
It was a Newsweek. I wasn't making it. I didn't pull it out of some crazy thing. It's an establishment mainstream news thing. I'm pretty sure it was Newsweek. And I tweeted it out and I said, hey, can we stop? Now, can we stop politicizing medical science? Can we get back to just doing medical science again and asking questions?
How much damage did Trump do on the one conversation he had? Maybe do something like clean.
None of the passports say in bold lettering that the vaccine is not FDA approved. All right, hold on. Give me a second.
And, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's not. So I got contacted by lots of people. Same experience. And I got contacted by a doctor who's leading.
Is that what it was?
Joe, you got me. But and I talk about their symptoms. Professionals are afraid to talk about
pointing out lawsuits that they've lost.
No, and in anything, it's not how it works. No. But that's how they wanted. Data is not the way you improve a vaccine. No, the suppression of people's symptoms and data, that is not. And in anything, it's not how it works. No. But that's how they want it to work because of Trump. Because if you say, it's just crazy.
It is crazy.
Even that hydrochloroquine, right?
Hydroxychloroquine.
Hydroxychloroquine that Trump was touting, and they were like, he's nuts because he's touting it. I didn't know anything about it. But then all of a sudden studies came out that say, hey, no, that actually has been helping. So now we have contradicting studies. It was a Newsweek. I wasn't making it. I didn't pull it out of some crazy thing. It's an establishment mainstream news thing. I'm pretty sure it was Newsweek. And I tweeted it out and I said, hey, can we stop? Now, can we stop politicizing medical science? Can we get back to just doing medical science again and asking questions?
How much damage did Trump do on the one conversation he had? Maybe do something like cleaning, something with you.
So much damage.
You do
put
like
bleach right in the.
It's so
much
light.
damage.
You can kill it with light. It's going to be a miracle. Like that one thing where people are like, what the fuck is it? Because he was riffing.
Yes.
He was clearly riffing. He didn't prepare for this. He probably just got done eating a fucking double cheeseburger. And he's like, because.
He's a salesman. He's just a big...
But because he's so divisive, like everyone is still... It's almost like do you know, like, if you got in a fight?
Listen, if he's a clown on TV, we can laugh at him. If he's singing Green Acres as a harmless billionaire fail son, then it's fine.
Fight with someone, like maybe your neighbor, and then you got in your car and there was a road incident, and you're like, get the fuck out of here. You're already so ramped up because of the fight with your neighbor. This is what the whole country's like.
That's a great analogy.
That's what it's like. It's like the whole country just got in a fight with the neighbor. Like he's putting his trash can on your lawn. Like, hey, you fuck. Keep him on your own side, you piece of shit. And then you're in your car. Fuck!
Yeah,
this is
I see
like
that,
the whole
everybody. Thank
country is like at 8. Out the door in their car, already at 8, on a scale 1 to 10. They're already ready to go. And so whether it's the vaccine or whether it's the border wall or whether it's kids in cages or what the fuck, whatever it is, everybody's so goddamn angry and ready to go. And then you deal with the economic crisis that a giant percentage of the country just went through over the past year, and then losing loved ones to this fucking disease and all this chaos and and so many people who I've never experienced like high levels of adversity, and all of a sudden they're confronted with it. If you've played it safe your whole life, you've really never done anything risky, never taken any chances, you've had a regular life with a regular job, you play it safe, and then all of a sudden now you're fucked and you're confronted with a perhaps deadly disease that might take you out, and you got all these other problems in the world, and everybody's like, and they don't have the coping skills. They don't have the ability to handle these things, and that's where we find ourselves as a country right now.
Actually, that's you guys. All of your controversy and struggle is manufactured. It's like going on a roller coaster. It's designed to make you feel scared, but you're not scared. Everything has been calculated. The handrails are there. The guardrails are there. The seatbelts are clicked. You have manufactured yourself a sense of adversary, but you don't actually have it. Like, you are sitting there, adversity, Jesus, I can't say words, pretending, you're LARPing like you're living it tough, but you're not. And now when you're confronted with a situation where there aren't any guardrails and people actually have to make wise decisions and they're not going to be saved if they fuck up, you're driving right off the cliff because you're used to the cliff diving simulation video game and you think that there's no consequences. This is all projection, Joe. I think the ultimate expression of this is UFC. UFC, you go up there, there's blood, there's carnage, there's people getting hurt, right? There's fights, but it's not a real fight to the death. It is manicured. There's doctors, there's corners, there's a referee that's going to break it up. It's television cameras. Medical professionals. This is not a real street fight. This is not a fight to the death. This isn't no holds barred. It's a sport. You feel like you're getting close to it, but it's all still within the system. You're not really playing with death, truly. Is it dangerous than not doing it? Yeah. Does it take physical skills and prowess and strength that I don't have? Absolutely. But it's still just a game. Some games are riskier than others. But you're not really out on the street fighting for your life with someone who has a broken piece of glass or a knife and they're going to kill your ass. That's not what it is. And now we have a situation where the guardrails are gone and you're given the right answer by the responsible, intelligent people that are keeping their head and studying this virus. They know it's dangerous. And they're doing clinical trials. They're going into rooms with people with COVID-19 when there's no treatment. Those are the people that are really fucking ballsy. Those are the people that are really dealing with adversity. Can you imagine being a doctor at an ER during the COVID pandemic last summer? Or this fall? And there's no treatments? And you don't have the vaccine? And you have to go in and help these people and they're dying and they're spreading this fucking disease? That is more dangerous and ballsy than anything you've ever done, Joe. And so when medical science miraculously, with world cooperation, develops a vaccine for this thing, tests it, says it's safe, and asks you to go and get your free vaccine at one of thousands of convenient locations, Uber will give you a ride for free to the vaccine location if you can't get a ride. If you don't have a car, you have a phone, you can use Uber, and they'll give you a ride for free to your free vaccine. And you fail that test. Pathetic, dude.
And it's weird because then you have that with the echo chamber aspect of social media, where everybody's just looking for positive reinforcement of their own ideas and confirmation bias. It's wild. Catch new episodes of the Joe Rogan Experience for free only on
every
Spotify.
Single thing he just said. Everything he just said was projection. Everything he said is projection. We do politics here every morning starting at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. You can watch us here on Twitch. We're the morning guy, the morning politics guy, Politics Frogs in every single day, same time, 10 a.m., day in, day out. And we carry you through your morning and early afternoon politics needs. And if you need more, Mike from PA, we have a YouTube channel. We talked about suburbs, the My Pillow guy, Ted Cruz. We talked about DSA. Amazing. Making fun of Tim Pool. Amazing. Look at all of these amazing videos. Get in there, watch them. We have me on Twitter. You got to follow me on Twitter, chat. I'm at 20,614 subs. That means I got like 40 followers on Twitter in the last day. You can do better than that. You can do better than that. Go follow us on Twitter. And of course, join the Discord, where we have an incredible community of left-wing streamers. We have left-wing community. We talk about the stream. We talk about politics. There's gaming content. It's a really awesome, supportive place. Direct action, mutual aid, and you can just let off some steam. And also, you can help produce the show. One of the things I do is I look at the links that are put into the news content suggestions chat room on the Discord. Join the Discord, come hang out, and maybe what you want me to talk about will be part of the next show.